Hello, thank you for being in a new video. This time we have unboxing of the Realme 11 5G. Let's get started. This device recently announced its arrival in Mexico at a price of 8,999 pesos. On the screen you see the reference price in dollars just to give you an idea. But remember that the prices here are not the same as over there. Let's take it out of its box so we can take an initial look at it. But first, let's take a look at the specs that the manufacturer highlights in its box. For starters, it offers us 108 megapixel camera. It's something increasingly common in mid-range devices. We also have 67 watts charge with 5000 milliamp battery. A screen that they claim here is ultra dynamic and smooth. And finally, the processor is the Dimensity 6100 Plus from MediaTek. A totally unknown processor for me because I have not tested it. But in the review, I'll tell you about it and show you all its performance. For now, let's take it out of its box. For starters, we're going to find a quick, simple little guide. Then we have this little tool to remove the SIM tray. And finally, we come across this, which is the case that comes included. Totally flexible but not totally transparent. It seems to have a little bit more opacity. In a moment we see how it looks when we put it on the device. This back cover reminds me a little bit of other Realme C-series models, but here we have an S in the light finish to give it a different touch. In addition, we have full gold frames that look a lot like the stainless steel iPhone frames, but clearly we're only talking about plastic here. In fact, in some angles you can clearly perceive that it is plastic, but you can pretend that it is stainless steel. So, aesthetically it looks attractive, although it obviously does not have such advanced materials. But now, let's take a look at what else comes in the box. We only have its cable, which is of good thickness due to the fact that the charger is considerably fast, although it does not come with any special color inside. But it does feel that it is a thick cable, so it is important that you use this original cable to give it a good use and a good power. The charger is a 67 watt Super VOOC, a considerably fast charge for this price range. Remember that the Super VOOC technology was developed by Oppo, shared with Realme and other manufacturers. It is a considerably large charger. It is not that compact, but it will be very powerful. In the review, I'll tell you how long it will take to charge. For now, let me put everything away and get back with you to continue taking a look at the phone. I've already got my hands on the device set up, so let's take a quick tour of its specs. It weighs in at 190 grams, 8.05 millimeters thick, very traditional in that regard. Side fingerprint reader, which is considerably thin by the way. So, I didn't like it that much. The screen is 6.72 inches in diagonal. It has full HD plus resolution and 120 Hz in its refresh rate. So yes, it is able to show us smooth and fluid movements. However, for some reason it doesn't give me the feeling of such a responsive system. So in that aspect, I think the experience could still be improved. Plus, it's not an AMOLED screen. So, usually AMOLED screens give us an even smoother feel. In this case, you can adjust it with an automatic selection or manually set it to 120 Hz. So, the refresh rate is positive. Although overall, the screen doesn't get to stand out that much because it doesn't have such intense color or high contrasts. The front camera is 16 megapixels with f-aperture 2.45, and on the back we find two cameras. Although Apple would easily tell you that it has three cameras. That's because it has the main 108 megapixel camera, but it has a lossless 3x zoom feature. So Apple would sell it to you as a third telephoto camera with 3x zoom. Now we see the results, but that feature looks very interesting. And the secondary camera is just there for decoration to make it look like it has more cameras because it's just a 2 megapixel depth capture camera. But with a sensor of this level, it could easily detect depth without any additional sensors. Here are the first impressions. We have a preview that doesn't look optimized yet. It looks all background burnt, and although it says here that it does detect the need to use automatic HDR after taking the picture, it doesn't process it very well either. So from first impressions, it looks like selfies that are not of good quality, although I insist it is just first impressions. In the review, I will tell many more details. But I also wanted to test the zoom since it is one of the aspects where this device promises a lot. This is a reference photograph. Here we have a 2x that is still digital and in fact has no optical quality. So I find that curious because in 3x we already have optical quality, which is just a way of saying because they are cropping the sensor. And I definitely like the result that we have in 3x's. I think it's a very, very positive result. Possibly in this price range, it's the best 3x digital zoom device that's going to have. Here we have now 5x, so you can see that it's a little bit digital, but it's still good quality. Then 10x, where the device starts to struggle to set up its dynamic range well, and at 20x, it's a disaster. So I think it is something very good, but practically only in 3 and 5x. Then I feel that it starts to be a more inconsistent result, but it is still striking that a device of this price offers this level of zoom. But I insist that in the video review I will tell you many more details of this photographic system. By now you should know that the device has 256 gigabytes of storage, although the test unit they sent me is 128, but in Mexico the 256 version is sold. So that will be one of its strongest points. The RAM memory is 8 gigabytes and they also add another 4 virtual gigabytes, which I consider unnecessary, but hey, that's what the manufacturer has by default. The device comes with Android 13 and Realme UI in its 3.0 version from the factory. But note that it already has an update. Possibly this will also improve the behavior of the camera and more. That's why I insist that in the video review I will tell you the real performance. For now, it would only remain for me to show you the performance that the processor has. However, it is curious that it does not allow me to install neither Geekbench 6 nor Geekbench 5, which are the applications that we usually use to test the performance quickly in the unboxing. So, we will have to wait until the review so that we can confirm the performance that this device can have in opening applications, in games, in video editing, and more. Because for the moment we have reached the end of this video. If you liked it, you know you can tell us about it, and we'll see you next time.